We can start with a long and deep breath together to center ourselves in this space, in this moment. Now we can start with simple breathing techniques. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. In, out. Breathing in, my breath grows deep. Breathing out, my breath goes slowly, deep, slow. Now that we have established a rhythm in our breathing, we can turn to our body. Aware of my body, I breathe in, relaxing my body. I breathe out. Aware of body, relaxing body. Calming my body, I breathe in. Caring for my body, I breathe out. Calming body, caring for body. Feeling joy to be alive, I breathe in. Feeling happy, I breathe out. Feeling joy, feeling happy. Breathing in, I'm aware of my in-breath. Breathing out, I'm aware of my out-breath.
Venerable Subhuti said to the Buddha, in times to come, will there be people who, when they hear these teachings, have real faith and confidence in them? The Buddha replied, do not speak that way, Subhuti. 500 years after the Tathagata has passed away, there will still be people who enjoy the happiness that comes from observing the precepts. When such people hear these words, they will have faith and confidence that here is the truth. We should note that such people have sown seeds not only during the lifetime of one Buddha, or even two, three, four, or five Buddhas, but have in truth planted wholesome seeds during the lifetime of tens of thousands of Buddhas. Anyone who, for only a second, gives rise to a pure and clear confidence upon hearing these words of the Tathagata. The Tathagata sees and knows that person, and he or she will attain immeasurable happiness because of this understanding. Why? Because that kind of person is not caught up in the idea of a self, a person, a living being, or a lifespan. They are not caught up in the idea of a dharma or the idea of non-dharma. They are not caught up in the notion that this is a sign and that is not a sign. Why? If you are caught up in the idea of a dharma, you are also caught up in the ideas of a self, a person, a living being, and a lifespan. If you are caught up in the idea that there is no dharma, you are still caught up in the ideas of a self, a person, a living being, and a lifespan. That is why we should not get caught up in the Dharma or in the idea that Dharmas do not exist. This is the hidden meaning when the Tathagata says, Bhikshus, you should know that all of the teachings I give to you are a raft. All teachings must be abandoned, not to mention non-teachings.
Thank you. All right. Very easy. So last time we learned and shared that when we are here practicing the teaching, it was because in the in the previous lives we met and we practiced the teaching before, and the seeds that we sow in our previous lives sprouts into fruit that we are still practicing and still engaging in learning the teaching of the Buddha, right? So today we will continue one very important, and I love this part. So this is the part from anyone who for a second gives rise to a pure and clear confidence upon hearing these words of the Tathagata. The Tathagata sees and knows that person, and he or she will attain immeasurable happiness because of this understanding. So just for a second, the first thought, the initial intention determines what will happen. So intention in Buddhism is so crucial in your practice. The question for you is, why are you still here? Because you had the intention to learn, to practice, and to build a supportive community. That is what get you, through this learning and practicing together, right? At times, you wanted to give up, maybe because it was hard, but you are still here because your intention was pure and you have clear confidence in the teachings. So regardless of what excuses your mind wanted to trick you to, abandon learning and practicing, you are still learning and still practicing because you have strong confidence in the teaching, that does have the power to transform your life, right? This is the important message, because the Buddha truly knows that human tendency tend to do easy thing, tend to do familiar thing. So usually what is familiar to us is very also destructive to us. If you look at people who are in unhealthy relationship, right? If you are from the outside, you see clearly that that is the unhealthy relationship. But the people who are in that relationship, they engage in that relationship because it is familiar to them, right? So they do that. And the Buddha knows our human tendency. Sometimes, if something is so hard, we would give up easily, right? But for those who have strong confidence in the teachings and in the practice, their own practice, they keep doing it because it stems from their confidence. And more importantly, this is important. When you do that, the Tathagata sees and knows you. Okay? Remember this. When you have clear confidence, strong confidence in the practice, in the teachings, the Tathagata sees and knows you. I want to emphasize the word see and know. The Buddha sees and knows you. It is love and care from the Buddha. In the very first statement by Venerable Subhuti, he said that the Buddha had special confidence and support for Bodhisattva, right? Remember?
Mm.
Now we see that if we practice the teaching in this sutra with pure intention, we are seen and known by the Tathagata, by the Buddha. Now, the Buddha sees and knows you, not in the sense of our conventional, I and my, but we meet the Buddha in each word of the sutra. The Buddha is always with us whenever we practice. He supports us. He gives us permission to be free from suffering. He sees us through that process of transformation. So let me give you one simple example how you can interact with your Buddha. You remember when you was a kid, if you didn't know how to do something, you ask someone older, maybe in your family, to do it for you, right? So now you are comparing to the Buddha, you're still a smaller, younger person to the Buddha, to the Bodhisattvas. So whenever your meditation, your practice seems to be unbearable, seems to be difficult, you can even ask the Buddha to do it for you. And you can just sit by and enjoy the meditation by saying this, Dear Buddha, I am overwhelmed. I cannot handle this. I give up. Please do it for me. Please sit for me. Please walk for me. And I'll be just enjoying your practice. That's it. And then let your Buddha handle whatever is happening. So that is how the Buddha sees you. That is how you meet the Buddha. And the question is, will you see him? Will you take it? Or are you so familiar with suffering and now you don't want something unfamiliar, which is non-suffering? There are children who are not seen and known by their parents. They feel abandoned. Some of you may be in such situations and grow up distrusting everyone. If someone shows you true love, you doubt it. You doubt them because you are trying to prove that you are not worthy of love and care due to early childhood's lack of love and care from your primary caregivers. It is sad that growing up without trust in people, right? It is even worse to believe that you are not worthy of love, right? But this way, the Buddha is penetrating into your mind and he said that you are not abandoned, regardless of how much progress you have made or not in your practice. When you engage the spiritual practice here, you are seen and known and loved by the Buddha and the whole community. One psychologist said something very beautiful. It is a joy. It is a joy to be hidden, and a disaster not to be found. It is a joy to be hidden and a disaster not to be found. It is said by D.W. Winnicott. You often enjoy your, private experiences or want to keep your experiences private, Sometimes hiding your thoughts is the safest way you implement when you are in front of people, right? You don't know whether you are ready to share and whether they are ready to listen. Your past experience tells you that if you share your personal, maybe suffering with wrong people, they will use it against you, So you gradually lose hope, trust in people, and keeping everything hidden is the best strategy, you know. But you cannot keep it hidden from the Buddha because when you engage the practice, he sees through that and he's there for you. So you have been hiding for so long. Now, thanks to the practice, the Sangha here, you are found and seen and known. Furthermore, it is, scary to be seen and known, right? Because, we, all of us, don't want people to judge that we are suffering. We want to show that, oh, I'm a strong, spiritually strong person, you know? I learned the Diamond Sutra. How come I'm not strong, right? It's so scary. It requires strength and determination to be vulnerable, to be seen and heard. I remember one sentence in The Boy, the Horse, the Fox, and the Mole. So the boy asked the horse, "What is the something like that? What is the strongest thing that you have ever done? What is the bravest thing that you have ever done?" The horse say, "Asking for help." So that is the bravest thing someone has done, which is asking for help. Man, maybe we have been pretending for so long that, you know, we are all right. But the Tathagata can see you now, and it is okay to be seen and known by him. You bow?
Yes, I actually have a question before you go further in the sutra. The first question I have is so in this sutra it say that if someone hearing the teaching and have the first the first intention is the confidence in the teaching, that person would gain immeasurable happiness. But then the very, very early of this sutra, then I was taught that when you listen to the teaching of the Buddha, you do not believe it right away. You need to contemplate on it and bring it into practice. So how do I reconcile the two sound like different in meaning?
So the question, let me rephrase that. So be critical of what you hear. The first part. The second part is, have clear confidence, strong confidence in the teaching. How does that go? How does that go together? It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, because confidence is different from blind faith, right? Blind faith that, this is the words of an a god or a person with authorities, so you should just believe it, no question asked, right? That is, I would consider that is faith or blind faith. If you don't ask question about what you believe, having when you hear the teaching and have confidence in that, it requires the first, I say, the intention. When you hear the word and then you generate that kind of intention, so after hearing, you have pure intention, and then that comes, the next will be confidence, right? So you cannot teach college math to 5 years old kid, right? They wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't understand it. They wouldn't. They would say you're crazy. What are you talking about, right? So I would say this sutra is college stuff, and that's why it's very important to sometimes ideas from this sutra will contradict, will have conflict with some other sutras, but we're not here to kind of point out the differences. We're here to see how they can work together. So at first, what is your intention when you come to study, this particular sutra? You want to know more. And nobody asks you to believe everything this sutra says, right? This sutra states, right? So you even, if it is so wonderful not um question everything that we hear. It is, we goes like a flow, right? So if it is good to have questions, but it is wonderful to, like, when whatever is in the sutra, we go as a flow. That is the next level of understanding, right? Many people, many scholars are very critical. They're very smart, but they never put it into practice. So does that good for them, or does that obstruct their spiritual path? We can be critical. Remember, critically compassionate when learning this sutra. We are critical, but we should have compassion when we engage Mahayana text, because they transcend our conventional thinking. I'm not sure if I answered that question, but I don't see any contradiction here. So we have to be at, I know that when people come to this class, they have a pure intention to, learn something from the sutra, right? You're not here to judge my way of teaching. You're not here to question everything in the sutra. I know you have the really great intention. You don't have to believe in this sutra to benefit from it. You just practice it, even though you don't have to believe in it, That is confidence. No belief, but still practice and still receive benefit from the practice. That is really great confidence, in my opinions. All right, let's return to this here, sees and knows. So I know through my training and through my personal experience, each and every one of you have been hiding something very tender, something very you know very personal that you don't want anybody to know because you know um you are afraid to be judged, to be criticized, not now but maybe in the past, right? So when you engage in this practice, when you have that confidence, because you have confidence, you know that the Buddha would not judge you. He wouldn't criticize you. He wouldn't look down upon you, right? So it is okay to be known and seen by him. Like he said, come here. It is okay to be vulnerable, to acknowledge that you have been hurt, to embrace every part of who you are. You know, that is what it meant to be seen and known by the Tathagata. You cannot hide from him because he is you, and you cannot hide from yourselves. In psychology, there's a term called you name it to tame it. You have to name the feeling. You have to name your suffering in order to transform it. You have to acknowledge that you are in prison so that you can be free. You have to so that you can find the key to get out of prison, right? So throughout our life, we kind of accumulate a lot of suffering. We hide them. We try to ignore them. We try to suppress them, but they are still there. You can lie to other people, but you cannot lie to yourself, right? So that is what the Buddha means by he sees you and knows you and supports you. So what is it that the Tathagata sees and knows when he says he sees and knows you? This question can only be answered by you. What do you want to be seen? How much would you reveal? Have you seen and known yourselves? You have to know yourselves first in order to be seen by the Buddha. So this go back to you. And there are four things that we shouldn't have ideas on. The first one is self, right? So to know you is to know the non-self in you. Often we all look outwardly to find material possessions in order to create a version of who we are, like social status, identity, rank, and so on, right? Such are not what the Tathagata sees and knows. Such are not who we are, because they are temporary, you know. And who you are cannot be seen when you look. Who you are can only be seen when you look inwardly. It is what the Tathagata will see and know through your inward looking. So now the responsibility come back to you. You have to look through yourself with the Buddha's eyes. And you can see everything in there, even though it's messy, but you can see through your practice. So after you are seen and known by the Tathagata, you will see others like the Buddha sees. After you are seen and known by the Tathagata, you will see others like the Buddha sees. It means that you are a Buddha. Why is it so hard to accept that you are a Buddha? Because there's some parts you're not willing to accept. There are some parts you think that, oh, I'm such a bad Buddha. How can I be a Buddha? I'm such a bad person. I have so much desire. I have so much anger. How can I be a Buddha? That is the part you should let your Buddha see. You should let Tathagata see. If you can acknowledge that, then you are a good Buddha. So seeing the world as a Buddha because you have been through the process of seeing with wisdom and compassion, right? So see, you practice, the Buddha see you, and now you see the world through a Buddha's eyes, right? So how to see and knows like the Buddha? That this is what we are trying to do when we practice the Dharma, Each day we try to see and know a little bit better, Meaning that we will see with the compassionate eyes and non-discriminative wisdom. Compassionate eyes and non-discriminated wisdom. What is the first thought when you see someone? You see someone, you say, oh, you look beautiful, you look ugly, you look fat, you look skinny. Now change everything. Look at that person through your compassionate eyes and non-discriminative wisdom. How? Can anybody give me an example how to do that? Come on, you have been practiced for some times now. It's not that hard seeing someone with compassionate eyes.
I think that you, you may be able to do that if we have mindfulness at that moment.
Intention, right? Intention. We return to the pure intention. So look at them slowly before you have any thought. Generate a pure intention. That's how you look. That's a process, with pure intention. The Buddha see you, and with that seeing, you see them. David?
Yes, and also seeing others with gratitude will automatically cultivate that.
Yes, that's right. Because we are so habitual in our way of seeing and speaking and thinking, right? If you see someone cut you, then you would immediately jump to judge them. Oh, bad driver, I'm angry. But then you stop for a second, you generate pure intention for them and for you. So you would see them differently. When you go to work, you observe a colleague that you don't really like, perhaps because he or she just annoying, or maybe it's nothing wrong about that person, but something wrong about how you perceive them. How do you apply the way of seeing that person like the Buddha would see? Now you just promote yourself to be a Buddha and see that person. How would a Buddha see that person? If you put annoying, then you're already not seeing that person as a Buddha sees. How do you see yourself as a Buddha? So it's again, I love this part because when we engage the practice, the Buddha see us, and through that seeing, we see others like the Buddha sees. This is a lot to take in, I think, but it's very if we really put this one into practice, it's very transformative. You allow the power, the practice, the teachings to penetrate you, to like you reveal your true yourself to that practice, and ask that to be seen and to be known. All right, it's time for you to do some small group discussions. So maybe three groups of 3 or 4, and discuss among yourself about what we have just learned. It is very profound. Welcome back. So, any striking ideas in your...
Margie?
Well, I can speak for our group. I I guess the gist of what we discussed is that we do understand, when we see people, of course, we want to have compassion and come from a place of understanding, because we don't know, why someone might be acting out, or we don't know what they're going through. However, we do draw the line. If we see someone just literally doing something not right, like hurting an animal, I'm going to judge you, because that's just breaking like a cardinal value that I have in my life, Buddhist or not Buddhist. There's certain things. I don't really care. We don't care where that's coming from. We don't think that's right. That's what we stand for. But also, having said that, you know, as much as we practice and as much as we improve on the skill set that we're working on, whatever they may be individually, we did kind of unanimously agree that it's been much more difficult lately in the world that we live in. Just the things that we see and the things that we experience in the world. There's just a lot. It seems like a lot more negativity and just not good behavior from a lot of people, just not being kind, being very inconsiderate, not having self-awareness. And so the best thing we can do is just not react to it and just remove ourselves from the situation. And at one point I had thought personally, you know, I need to try harder. I need to practice more. And then I just said, you know what? I am giving my practice my all, and I feel very good about what I'm doing, especially when I interact with you guys as a whole and even our small mini group sessions. And so I need to give myself grace. And we need to be kind to ourselves as well. So just still looking at the world with a compassionate lens and not being upset with other people. You know, like if someone does cut us off in traffic, is it frustrating and annoying? Yeah. But do I wish that person negativity, or am I going to scream and yell in my car? No, I'm just going to go home and I'm going to meditate it out or work it out or go out in nature, be grounded, put my feet on the soil, play with my, whatever it is that brings us back to, you know, our peace and our joy. So that's kind of what we discussed.
Thank you. So just a thought. Remember when we learn about liberate all, and then not thinking about that we have liberate anybody, right? It's so hard, right? If we really think about it and really, you know, engage in doing that. So I mentioned before that there is a bodhisattva in hell, the earth store bodhisattva. And hell, you know, only bad, worse people go to hell, right? We're not going to hell, but worse people are going to hell. And he's still, you know, help them. Like there's a one metaphor in the sutra saying that, you know, he is like a wise guide standing on the evil road, that whenever people come to that road, he would say, why would you come here? You know, this is the dangerous road. You should go out, you know, turn back and go. And if you see anyone who come in this direction, just please tell them that this is a dangerous road, difficult road, dangerous road. Don't come, you know. So it is hard, especially given the American political landscape nowadays is so much worse for many of us. So my suggestion is that your intention matters, okay? Yeah, when you wake up, you don't, you know, pick your phone and see who wins what, right? Just generate an intention that I'm going through this day with gratitude, with compassion, with wisdom, you know? If you can do that when you first wake up, then you would have a better day, you know? So always remember intention matters. Okay, who else? You Bao?
Yes, thầy. So our group share many different views on this, but we all come to agreement that to see somebody with the Buddha eye would try to be more compassionate and loving kindness, just like Maji just mentioned. But then I brought it up that, you know, being a Buddha is a very difficult and challenging task. Buddha go beyond sight, um, and let go of a lot of attachment. Then we have the discussion whether let go of all the attachment is the right thing to do, or just let go of the attachment to the bad thing. So then I would like if you can shine some light on this.
So the question is about attachment, letting go of attachment,
Yeah, so
or
the question is that whether you should let go of all attachment or you should just let go of attachment to the bad things.
my aim is to let go all, but right now I'm still hold on to good things, good people, because um, you know, I'm not a Buddha yet. That is a secret. Don't tell anybody. Um, so right now, ideal, ideally, let go of bad, so-called bad attachment, and hold on to good one and flourish the good ones. Okay. Um, yeah, that's my maybe in the next 15 years, your state of mind become, tranquil, and then you would just see attachment as attachment, no good or bad. And when that is when you are free from any kinds of attachments. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. David, yes, go ahead.
I should probably go far too. So, uh, talking about judgment and letting go of judgment, and and I was the way that I was thinking about it was if you automatically just have gratitude for something or somebody else, any type of judgments that you have just automatically kind of fade away, right? Because you're thankful for that person, so you're not thinking about any of the negative things. You're thinking about the positive things, the things that they've contributed that you appreciate about them, regardless of what they are. Whereas on the other hand, you can another way of trying to get to that place is through understanding, with through empathy and trying to see where that person is coming from. So, for example, in Margie's example, where she would say if somebody would happen to cut her off when she was driving her car, maybe that person wasn't trying to do that. Maybe for whatever reason couldn't see, or there was other sets of circumstances where it just happened, and you know, and just try to empathize, um, in order to understand. Um, and that's one way. But then I was also thinking that if you just go straight to the gratitude without trying to necessarily empathize, like it's almost more of a direct route to be able to let go of that judgment. So instead of having to try to understand where that person is coming from, which you may or may not be successful on, you might have some gratitude, regardless of empathy. You have that the letting go of that judgment. And then the other thing we were talking about is the judgment towards yourself. So if you're judging others, it's kind of similar to you judging yourself, right? And so having gratitude for others as well as having gratitude for yourself helps with relieving that judgment on yourself. And then you shouldn't necessarily be comparing yourself to others. You should really be comparing yourself only to yourself, right? And whether or not you feel like you're a better person today than you were yesterday, kind of a thing. So those are the things we were discussing.
Thank you. And one thing that I want to also emphasize, two things. First of all, is that when you try to kind of understand or be grateful for someone, you don't have to have reason. You don't have to explain to yourself why would they do that? Why would they cut you off? You don't have to explain their intention when they did that, right? It's not your business, because whatever they did it. You don't have to try to explain that. And also the conversation that you have with your Dharma friends, with your spiritual community will be beneficial if the conversation you have with yourself change, right? So when you engage in the practice, you have the conversation with the practice, with with me, with the Sangha here, then this kind of conversation changes the way that you communicate with yourself. That is how the Dharma is helpful, is beneficial for you, right? Like you go to a therapist, the conversation you have with them, the therapy session will be effective if you change the way you have conversation with yourself, right? So that is also another way of how you see yourself and how the Buddhas can see you. All right, this is very lively and very transformative for me. Thank you everybody for your engagement, and some of you be vulnerable to share. Okay, so Yu Bao, let's do the dedication of marriage.
The four great vows. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Desires are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. The Dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. The Buddha way is unattainable. I vow to attain it.
All right, remember you vow this, so should follow these vows. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you very much, Thầy.
Thank you,
great
Thầy.
Hey, good
Have a
night,
great
everyone.
night, everybody. Thank you.
May all you be well, happy, and healthy.